guys, what is going on? Blossom is back and welcome back to another episode of Top Drives. It's been a while since I've posted a video. I've been streaming recently, but it's been a while since I posted a video. I've been incredibly busy this week, but I will be back posting videos daily for the next 2 weeks, and then I'll be gone again for the winter break. But how have you guys been doing? I missed y'all. Stay tuned for the end of the video. There is something completely brand new that I'm trying to showcase, so let me know what you think about it. I basically learned Adobe Premiere Pro. I was gonna say Adobe Premiere Pro, and I made that. It's very simple, but I hope it's cool. Anyway, today I want to talk about ultra rares. Not only my ultra rares, but my fully upgraded ultra rares. So I recently hit a new milestone, 400 ultra rares, and every time I hit a new milestone, I like to make a video about it. I did one on 200, I did one on 300, and now we're on slightly over 400. We're on 402 fully upgraded ultra rares. Now I like to showcase this because this guys gives you, I guess, the most honest insight on what I think are the best cars to have and collect, because I have them max. Now the thing is, I'm kind of at a stage where I have all of the key ultra rares max, so I'm kind of just maxing out anything now, but it's still very obvious to see what are the key ultra rares because I have them in duplicate, and I will tell you why as well. Now that being said, I did say it's the most honest way. Obviously I only have one Lancia 037. That is because I've only unpacked one Lancia 037. I would love to have more if I could, but with that said, let's get into it. My ultra rare collection, over 400 max legendaries. I don't even know how much money I've spent upgrading them all, but if I sold all of them right now, how much would they be worth? What is 58,494 multiplied by 402? Whatever that amount is going to be, I'm probably going to put it in my title. Anyway, starting this off is one Nissan Pulsar Nismo concept. Now I've said this so many times, please 323 it. I made a mistake, and that's the thing that I've said so many times. I made a mistake. I thought this would be a better car at 233, like, you know, 99% of the other ultra rares, but it isn't. 323 is better. I don't know why. Maybe it's more of a super rare. I'm not sure, but 323 is the way to go. I know I initially said 233 is the best, but that's also because I did the same thing because I was under the same impression. And obviously the update was really new, so you know there wasn't a lot of testing that could go around. 3 Lotus Elite Sport 135. It's absolutely fantastic car. 2 of them are 233, which is the way that I would recommend you to go for. But 323 is basically slalom spec. Now, one thing that is pretty interesting actually is I want to see how many of these are actually JPT. So I have 35 max JPT cars. So basically, from the last video I did on all my fully upgraded ultra rares till now, JPT wasn't a thing. So the next 100 that I maxed out, 35% were from JPT, which is actually pretty cool. 42 American Frontier, 10 ER, 59 Great Exhibition, 23 Time Renaissance, 34, 8, and 42. Anyway, moving on now, we have an Infiniti Q63.0. Now this one I think it's a pretty good bang for my buck because 4.2, 90 handling. It has no MRA, but for RQ50, those stats aren't too bad. Once again, I decided to go with 233. For RQ50, maybe the 323 is better, but I have not seen any tests any times, and this really isn't a ultra rare that a lot of people max out anyway. Moving on now, a lot of these you've seen before. Basically anything American Frontier and before, you've probably seen it before. But look at all these duplicates because I want to emphasize on the duplicates. The Renault Sport Megane, I have one 323 and I have one 233. Now this one, the 233, is better. The only reason why this is 323 is because this is incredibly old. 992 days. I think I know what my oldest ultra is. I think it's the E39 M5, so we'll get to that in a bit. I have 2 Pontiac Solstice GXPs. These cars were crucial before American Frontier, but now the introduction of the Dodge Circuit EV, the Solstice is not that good anymore. I have 2 Opel OPCs, a little bit of a disappointment in my opinion. It has really good stats, and it's a relatively lightweight car, but it just seems to disappoint in a couple of track sets, and I find myself leaning towards using the Lotus 135. Moving on now is 4 Opel Adam R2s. That's literally for clubs, so if you play a lot of clubs, I play a lot of clubs. This is what my garage looks like, so I can play a lot of clubs non-stop. Obviously make a lot of money as well. I have 2 Theros Countach. One of them is pretty new. I forget which one. Definitely not that one, so it has to be this one. As you can see, 169 days. And we move on to my Charger 3 collection. I have 3 of them. I would love to get as many as possible. 5, 6, 7, 8, you name it. I want to get it all. Moving on, we have 2 Volvo V90 T6s. Now, I know I'm really emphasizing the duplicates, but that's because it's really the duplicates that really, you know, make the difference. Now the Volvo V90 won me like 3 prize cars. I think it was like the Senna and like 2 other prize cars that came around that time. Moving on is the Subaru Lavoric. Now this one, once again, if I had 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, I would max them all out. Absolutely fantastic car. 4-wheel drive, standard tires, medium ground clearance, 87 handling, and it has the estate tag. The only downside with this car is that it's 2021. This isn't a year that Hutch ever uses because there are not a lot of cars in that category yet. But hopefully when the game gets older, there'll be more and more cars that will be fitting the 2021 and soon to be 2022 category. And maybe we can see events of those years. Moving on, a lot of trash over here, like the Jag and the Firebird and the Infinity. A lot of these Ultras that you see that I have max in duplicate, not in duplicates, but in singular, are usually because I don't have them and I just wanted to max out something different. So yeah, a lot of just random ones here like the Buick Enclave and of course the Peugeot RCZR. Yes, I have Blossom has fully upgraded an ultra rare Peugeot. Not a very good car, but I guess it might have some niches one day. I mean, at the end of the day, it's top drives. Every car will have its day. It's just that a lot of cars or some cars have a lot more days than other cars. So for example, this and I don't know, another good example would be the Juke Gizmo, actually. So they're next to each other. This one might have its day once in a year, but this has its day like 3 weeks in a year. So about like what? 21 days in a year. Why I say that is because this is a fantastic club car. It's front wheel drive, all surface tires, it handles incredibly well, it's an SUV, and it has high ground clearance. So there are a lot of niches that fits that car. So the Peugeot RCZ, you see what I mean? I think we've had one event this year where this car has been useful. It's a pretty new max out though, 19 days, and I've only put it on 2 races. Moving on now, we got the 370Z, and of course my army of Dodges, comprising of 1 Neon, 4 Circuit EVs, and 3 Charger Daytonas. Sorry, I cannot count, but you knew that already. 2 Charger Daytonas. I have 2 BMW 640Ds. Now, this car, although it got nerfed, it used to have 90 handling, now 88, is still, in my opinion, very useful because it is a diesel car. And there are not a lot of diesel performance tire cars in the game, but this is one of them. So definitely look out for these because they are very rare. And if there's ever a diesel event, which is on road, where for thank God crying out loud, we don't need to use the Bentayga or the SQ5, the BMW 640D is actually going to be a good car to use, especially to save RQ as well. Moving on now, we have a lot of just little singulars and then Lamborghini Miura SV. We got 2 of those, and of course, as I like to call it, the drag JPT car, the ultimate drag JPT car. It has a low 0 to 60 in relative, which is relative to JPT Ultra Rares, and it has good MRA, once again relative to JPT Ultra Rares. So I have this drag spec 332, and how many times have I actually used it? 12 times, and guess what? It's won every single one. So that's pretty nice. So moving on now, we have my army of Caterham 270s. Now, there are a lot of key cars, which I'm blessed to say that I have many duplicates of, right? I got 5 of these. I got, I think, 5 of the Opel Adams or something like that. I have 3 Colorados, but there are some key Ultra Rares out there which I can't seem to get, like the Auto Delta or the Lancia 037 per se. And it's funny because of the whole Benino Finals challenge that happened, the Lancia 037 was an Ultra Rare that you could get from the pack. The problem was I didn't get it once. So to be fair, I've only opened like 4, but still, I didn't get it once, which is kind of sad. But I got an army of 270s, fantastic car for clubs. Whenever there's any rain, you want to use it. So really, really good car. Moving on now, we got a couple of BMWs. This one's a pretty good one to look out for because just like the other white BMW we were talking about, this is also diesel, and this is also medium ground clearance. The other one was low. I forgot the name already. I think it was like 630. I don't know. Moving on now, we have a host of Desirs. We have 2 Desirs maxed and 2 Neon SRT4s and 2 Dodge Nitros. Dodge Nitros, I gotta be honest, completely useless. A very, very useless car to have. But of course, we all know how much I wanted one, how much I wanted the max one, and I was equally as excited to pull the second one, and therefore I maxed that as well. We have 1 M80. I am planning on getting a second one. I do have a second one I think, but I just haven't maxed it out yet. The Chrysler 300C is a pretty good standard tire car because it's medium ground clearance, it has decent handling, it's above 80. It does annoy me that this is an American car with a European car plate. It's just, I don't know, to me, American cars with European car plates are kind of cursed because Europeans barely buy specifically new American cars. I've seen muscle cars there because there's a culture for it, but it's very rare that you see a European actually buy a new American car, which makes sense because you guys can just buy a Mercedes or a BMW. So yeah, that looks pretty cursed to me, but the stats are not cursed. Very low 0 to 60 for a standard tire car, medium ground clearance, and standard tires. Also carries the saloon tag. We also have my army of Trailblazer SS's, along with my army of BMW 520DX drives. I am working on maxing out a fifth, don't worry. As you know, I like to grind the championship level, where this is the awarded prize car at a 10% chance. I think it's Yellowbird 8. No, I know it's Yellowbird 8. If you want to join me, because I think this is the best car to farm, best ultra rare at least, to farm from the Yellowbird campaign, all you need, or what I'm using, are 2 Lotus 340Rs, 2 TVR Tamoras, and 1 Butter Bentley. You basically need 2 Twisty, 2 Fast, and 1 medium ground clearance, and if you're lucky, 10% chance you will get that BMW. I have 2 Aston Martin Bulldogs drag spec as well, absolutely love them. Moving on is my army of Acura TLXs, the best front-wheel drive standard tire car in the game, as in the only ultra rare front-wheel drive standard tire car in the game. It does lose to the ELR on a lot of track sets like Slalom and G-Force, but then again, it will beat the ELR on other track sets like the Twisty Circuit and the Hairpin Road. Just, you know, don't put this car against the ELR on the very, very twisty tracks. Moving on now, we have 2 Maybach Landaules, absolutely love that car, and 2 Jaguar, I almost say Jaguar, Jaguar X-Types. Moving on now, a lot of singulars over here because these cars aren't too special. I do have 2 Suzuki Ignis Super 1600s, and I am planning on maxing out a second one very, very soon. And of course, now we have my army of Opel Corsas. I was wrong. I thought I had 4, but I guess I thought I had 5, but I guess I only have 4. I think I have 5 in total. It's just that 1 is still stock, perhaps. Moving on now, we have 2 Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 1s. I love this car because it's incredibly lightweight. It is also a saloon. It has 4-wheel drive. It has 90 handling and medium ground clearance. It's kind of a car that has it all. It's a mini Evo 4, which makes sense because it's an Evo 1. I also have a whole host of Civic Type Rs. This is a very rare thing to see in my garage. It's basically a three of a kind. So this is drag spec. This is 969, and this is 699. If you're wondering how I'm able to tell, it's because of the top speed. Lower top speed is always 699 in my garage. Very few cars, which I have 3 different specs. I think it's this, the Martini, BTR, and the E39 M5. I think those are the only 3 that I have all 3 variations of. It's a very good car, the Honda Civic, because it's useful in all kinds of variations. This is my hairpin and slalom. This is my twisty everything, and this is my drag. So there you go. It has a high top speed and a low 0 to 60. No MRI, but it really doesn't matter because no Japanese car in the ultra ranks really has MRI anyway. When you think about it, the drag spec JPT Infinity 4.1 0 to 60 actually has a lower 0 to 60 than this. I don't know if it has better MRI. I think they're both around the 70s. I got 2 Chevrolet Aerovets over here as well, and a lot of Singulars. Once again, as you can see, a lot of Subarus just lying around. I've been maxing a lot of random Subarus, so over here you can see 4 of them all RQ58. A couple of Porsches lying around, and then once again we're greeted with 3 AMG G63s. 2 are drag spec, 1 is 969, and then a whole host of Dodges. Of course, I want to max 2 of every Dodge in the game. 2 Charger SRT8s, 2 Daytonas, and 2 Challenger SRT8s. And as you can see, this is 996. No, this is 969. Yes, because this is very old. This was around the time of American Dream, so over 1,000 days old. This is 996. This is 969, and this is 699. This is 996, and this is 699. I hope you kept up with that. We have 2 Chrysler Aspen hybrids. I only use them when it's, when we're talking about cars that barely have their days, it's these. But when they do have their days, they excel. It's basically when it's clubs and it's Chrysler times 5, and there's like Road Less Taken or Desert Sand. stands, then they pop off, because that's the only car that you can use for the off-road. That is a Chrysler. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but that's all I can think of. I have 2 Corvette Grand Sport C4s, 2 Aston Martin Vantages. One is 996 at 3.60 to 60, and this one is 969. Now, my main problem is with the Aston Martins, when they were first released with Great Exhibition, they were better 969, but then they made an update, and I don't know what they tweaked, but then 699 Aston Martins became better. So, you know, my Aston Martins are a little bit of a mess. So there are going to be a lot of upgrades just running all over the place. We have a Vauxhall Forenza Odenau. That's a pretty cool one to get. Long-term player kind of goals. 2 Sport Megane 275s and 3 Nissan 200 SXs. These cars, these Nissans, they love me, okay? I've said that I've only packed 1 Lancia 037. I've already packed 4 of these. I still have 1 stock in my fuse pile, which, to be honest, I'm most likely going to max regardless. I have a maxed Pulsar and 2 Nissan 370Z Nismos. Really excited to use this. I hope I can use it in the Silver Screen Challenge. That's why I maxed the second one. I have 2 Maserati Quattroportes. It's basically your best ultra rare standard tired Italian car. So that's a good one to have in everybody's garage. And like I said, I am blessed to have, you know, duplicates of some very, very good cars. 5 of those Caterhams, 4 of the Lotus 340Rs. Now, for the Lotus 340Rs, I don't have a 5th one waiting in the fuse pile. When it comes to Lotus 340Rs, whenever I get one, that is the #1 ultra rare that I want to work on. Very few cars command that kind of respect and priority, but the Lotus 340R is one of them. Now, talking about being a bit more unlucky, the Infiniti G37. It's a fantastic car to have in everybody's garage. It's a convertible of 89 handling, and it's a very, very good car. It's a slightly heavier version of the Caterham, but it has more MRA, it has a higher top speed, and it handles better. It's still going to lose to the Caterham on a lot of the track sets, but the Infiniti G37 is a car that everybody should have in their garage. It's kind of like the second best option in my opinion, and I would love to have 2 or 3 of them, but unfortunately I only have 1. 2 power boxes, and of course really, really happy to get the Dodge Avenger Rally Sedan. This basically wraps up, along with winning the Viper GTSR, ACRX, this basically wrapped up in the same week. I think I won this and the Viper. It wrapped up having every single Dodge prize car in the game. Now I have 2 Z4M Coupes and 2 Virage Volantes. This one is 996. This is 969. Now this is a car where a lot of people have asked me, Blossom, is this a good car to have? Because it has a very low 0 to 60, a high top speed, no MRA, and, you know, decent handling. The reality is it's a bit of a hybrid, right? So it's not a specialist car. It's not a car that I use very often. So as you can see here, I've owned it for 579 days, but I've only raced it 53 times. That is very, very low, especially if you compare it to, you know, this Z4. No, I want to compare it to this Z4. I want to compare it to the older one. There you go, 704 races. That compared to 50. I mean, even my newer one, which has over 100, that is twice the amount of races compared to the Virage Volante. And then, of course, this Aston Martin Virage Volante is also very low in races at 59. Now, moving on to Aston Martin DB3Ss. In fact, let me compare it to the DB3S. This should have more than 50. There you go, 477, and they both came in the same update, but I did not get them at the same time, so maybe it's not the best comparison. TVR 450 SEAC, I have this at 233. It has amazing MRA, but it also has pretty decent handling, so I went with 233 because at the end of the day, my final verdict was I'm not going to 332 it because it's still going to lose to a Charger 3, it's still going to lose to a TVR Tamura because the top speed isn't very high, or it's going to lose to like a Thanos Countach on the Testable, or now the Aston Martin Bulldog. Moving on, we have the Porsche 911 Carrera RS 2.7. This is a pretty rare car to have in anybody's garage, so I'm really happy to have that. I have 2 Ford Expedition Platinums. One is drag spacked at 4.6, the other one is 323 at 4.7. 2 Stealths, along with, once again, 3 of a kind M5, so 996, 969, 699, as you can see over here. The one with more handling is 699, the one with the lowest 0 to 60 is 996, and, you know, this one speaks for itself. Moving on is 2 Suzuki C2s. Now, I do believe I have a 3rd one in my holding pool. My holding pool is actually pretty stacked. Let me show you my fuse pile after I'm done with this, in fact, if you're interested. So I'll do that later. 6 Turbo Martinis. I used to collect this car. If you are an OG viewer of the channel, you would know that I love the Turbo Martini. I even have a Patreon tier named after it. But now, of course, my allegiance has shifted towards the Roof BTR. So whenever I get the Roof BTR, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to max it because unlike the Martini, the roof BTR actually is useful in the game. The Martini just never. I don't think I use it anymore. I mean, 684 races is a lot, but I've also owned it for 1,500 days. So you can do the math if you know how much I use it per day or whatever. I should do that one day. I should, find the percentages of every single ultra. Oh my goodness, that would take so much time. But I think it'll be pretty fun to know, because that would be the best way to understand the cars in my garage and what I truly use the most per day. So anyway, moving on now is the Nissan Skyline GTR. I have 3 of those, and they are also 3 of a kind actually. I have a drag spec, a 699, and a 969. Well, there you go. That's pretty nice. I love the R32. It's my second favorite Skyline. My favorite Skyline is the R30. Now moving on, I have 3 Viper RT10s, 2 Mustang GTs, 2 Guaras, a whole host of BMWs and Aston Martins as well. Moving on is more Porsches. The Subaru Forester is a really good one to have. I have this at 233 because it's dry spec. Always remember when it comes to these, because there are, these Subarus are a dime a dozen. 4-wheel drive, medium ground clearance, or this one in particular is actually high ground clearance. 233 means you're gonna drag spec it. 323 means you're gonna wet spec it. Now most of my Subarus are drag spec'd because I plan to use them for dry events, for Japanese x5s in clubs. Funny enough, today in clubs, the requirements, one of them, Japanese x5. So yeah, moving on, Pontiac Torrent GXP, I got 2 of those, and 2 Lotus Exige S1s. This is my first one, which I969. It's a pretty old boy, coming in at 663 days, and this one is a youngin'. I think it's less than 100. Yep, only 28 days, 5 races. That's 4 wins right there. So moving on now, we have a Infiniti QX30. This is a car that I want to max in duplicate. It's just that it's like one of the, there are a lot of cars I want to max in duplicates, but this one is kind of like at the end of the list, but I still want to max it in duplicate, if that makes sense. Kind of want to have 2 or 3 of those. Ford Escorts as well. Don't use them that often though. 2 Volvo XC90s. Once again, good car, but I don't use it that often as well. I have my army of Golf GTI TCRs, one of the, if not the best ultra rare, no, not the best ultra rare Golf, one of the best Volkswagens, not even Golfs, I was thinking of Volkswagens, one of the best Volkswagens in the game. That is saying a lot coming from me because I hate Volkswagen. And then 2 TVR Tamaras. I would love to have two more of these, maybe 4, 5, 6. I also have 2 Subaru Legacies. Now this one right here, quite special. The Infiniti is my drag JPT car. This Legacy S401 is my drag Subaru. So if there was a Subaru event and I needed a dragster, this is the one that I would go. It beats Max Epics. Not all, but it beats some Max Subi Epics. I remember there was one event where it was like a Subaru event, and there was like a 1 mile, and I was going against an RQ73 Subaru. I think it was like a Hawkeye Subaru or whatever it was. Beat that, by the way, with this. Now, because this is one of the only Subarus with MRA, I think it's in the high 70s, so I 332'd it to get a 0 to 60 of 4.8, which is actually a huge gap from the 5.0 with the Subaru Legacy STI. Now, a pretty interesting one here, because this one is 233. If you happen to 323 the Subaru Legacy STI, this would actually be 4.9. So for this car, you can actually have 3 different variations of 0 to 60s, 4.8, 4.9, and 5.0. Moving on to Porsche Boxer Spiders. OGs who remember that this used to be an epic. 4 924 Carrera GTSs, 2 911 RSs. To come to think of it, I have a lot of Max Ultra Porsches, don't I? 4 Lancer Evo 4s. I think I have a 5th one in my holding pool. Not holding pool, sorry, fuse pile. A couple of Jags here and there, a couple of Mopars, SRT8s, 2 Chevrolet Camaro SS Coupes, and a Galaxy TS Coupe. Fantastic car. Definitely recommend having it. Basically the almost a British American version of the BW Legacy, which we'll see in a bit. 2 Acura NSXs. This took me forever to get, man. Like, it was the last ultra rare American Frontier car that I unpacked. I am still missing the fish car, but I have packed it before. It's just that I fused it away. 2 Malus. I got a Legacy B4 RSK and a Legacy STI, the Leo car. And here it is, the epic in disguise, the Subaru Legacy BW. This is a car, if I had 10, I would max 10. Roof BTR Army, I got 5 of those babies as well. 1 R33 to my name, 2 S63s. Once again, 037. There's a reason why this and the BW are wish listed. I want 5, 6, 7, 8 of each of these cars. Absolutely fantastic. Now, one of the biggest questions I get is, Blossom, why is this drag spec? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let me take you on a little history lesson. Back in the day, the Lancia 037 only had 89 handling. So if you 323'd it, it would have been 91 handling. So I had a drag spec because it had the lowest 0 to 60 compared to its competition. Its competition being the Porsche 924, the Nissan Silvia, the Ford Escort. At the lowest 0 to 60. So it was the best drag spec ultra rare to do back in the day. It's just that, you know, it got a handling buff. And because of that handling buff, it became the best ultra rare off-roader, full stop, for rear-wheel drive. So yeah, never pulled an 037 since. To be fair, the 332 spec, I still get value out of it. I mean, it has gone through over 1,500 races. That's a bit biased though, because this is also the only Lancia that I can use, but I still get use out of it. So definitely, like, if I had like 3 Lancias, I would have one drag spec, but the other 2 would be 323. And if I had 3 Lancias right now, all stock, the first one I would do wouldn't be 332, but it would be 323. Moving on now, got a bit of, you know, this is kind of crap, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, like, I never used the Jag or the Infinity or this Jag or this Infinity. The GMC Terrain, I like the car, but I never use it either. RS200 is good. Dodge Challenger SRT 392 is good. And of course, I have 3 Colorados, 1 M6 convertible, another car, which I've only unpacked 1 of. Would love to get a second one. And then finally, the Auto frickin' Delta. Fun fact, I have never, ever pulled an Auto Delta. Never. How long has the Italian Renaissance been in the game for? Since like 2018, 19, I think, about 2 years. I have never ever pulled an Alfa Romeo Auto Delta. So you're wondering, Blossom, how the hell did you get this one? This was a tier 1 prize in like a prelim long ago. That's why. I think it was like an Italian saloon prelim. Remember that one? I think it was for the GTR Nismo. And this was a tier 1 prize. And I fought so hard just to get this. It felt like a Tri-Series final for me, man. Look at how often I use it. 2,139 races. And it has 86% win ratio. Like, that is crazy. And then 2 ABARP 030s. Real quick, before I show my fuse pile though, I do want to show you my oldest ultra rare, which I do believe is one of the E39 M5s. In fact, it's the 323 E39 M5s. I just need to remember what RQ60, that's right, this one right here. No, this one, my drag spec, is my oldest one, I do believe. And as you can see, 1,539 days old. I don't use it anymore. I barely use this car, but it is the oldest one in my garage. What's pretty interesting is what would be the most used ultra rare in my garage? This is a question that I cannot answer. It might be one of the 340Rs. I just don't know which. 4,100. What is this one? 1,006. So not that. Maybe it is the 4,230. And yeah, so it's probably 4,000. Maybe. I'm pretty sure I have an ultra in here with more races. But anyway, let me show you my fuse pile real quick. It is actually pretty stacked. So as you can see, I have an Evo 4. Now, obviously, not every car in here is going to be fused, but I only like to lock the ones that I've maxed or the one that I'm currently working on. I'm not working on any ultra right now. But yeah, I got an Evo in there, CTS in there. I got a C2, Suzuki C2 or Suzuki Panda as other people call it. Yep, another Opel Corsa, making it my 5th. A Suzuki Ignis, making it my 2nd. A 3rd Maybach. A 5th 520D. A 2nd Juke. Got some pretty good cars in here, and of course 2 Pulsars, which I need to upgrade the right way. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it. Those are my maxed ultra rares, all 402 of them. I hope this video helped you or gave you a little bit of insight to maybe the ultra rares that you own in your garage as well. But anyway, hope you guys have a great day. I'm gonna stay safe, wash your hands, and check out the end credits because I kind of like them. Peace, guys.